Hey, Bob here. I've got the air conditioning running, so I'll speak a little loud here. Anyway, I'm getting ready to cut through the guitar back to fit the rest of the binding. As you can see, I'm routed here and I'm routed over here. And now I have to route a channel where the guitar binding will end up going through once it's final fitted, okay? So I've got to route this channel out through here. Right now I'm routing just for the binding only. And after I route for the purfling, I will do the same kind of cutting here for the purfling. So, these are the chisels that I'll use. I have chosen a close-up here, so you're not going to see much of me, maybe a little bit of my hands. I'm going to use everything from this very narrow chisel, it's like a 1/16 of an inch, to 3/32 to like 1/8 of an inch and bigger. And I'm going to use a utility knife with a brand new number 11 X-Acto knife blade. It's called an X-Life blade, and they're kind of blue. They're not shiny silver. So I'm going to move these chisels for a moment. And I have to draw a line better than the one I have on here. I'm going to pull this back for a moment. I need to draw a line which will more than approximate the binding where I'm going to be cutting to fit the binding. And I always like to keep this channel a little bit thinner than the actual binding. I can always widen it, but I don't want to make it too fat. And in fact, I can make the binding a little bit thinner in here where it goes in and butts right at the center of the back strip, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to butt up against the other one on the other side. Let me see if I can show you. These will eventually come together right there. Okay? So, the first thing I want to do is make a guideline for me to cut on. And I'm going to use the guitar template to do that. And in fact, I'm going to put my center line of the template on the center line of the guitar, just so that it's accurate. And I'm going to make a line right here. Very simple. I don't even have to move this. It's just about in the right place. So I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to back that up a little bit and see how it came out. It came out pretty good. Now I'm going to draw this other line, which will go right up against the heel cap. Hang in there. It's about in the right place already. I'm just going to draw that line. Okay, so with that, I'm going to look at my line my two lines. And in fact, I'm going to check the camera with a mirror, which I'm holding on the back of the camera so I can see the image. Make sure I'm rolling, and I am. Okay. So I'm pretty much done with the pattern and the pencil. I'm going to remove the pattern. And the next tools that I'm going to use are the X-Acto knife and a French curve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this line and decide if it's fairly accurate. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to bring the French curve so that it pretty much mimics the curvature of the top of the guitar here, okay? And I'm only going to take this, I'm going to cut this line. I'm going to keep it a little bit less than actuality, and I'm going to make note of where this little round circle is. It's about 3/4 of an inch from the outside purfling to the inside of this little circle. That's going to come in handy later. But anyway, I'm going to line this up. This is a one-shot deal. I don't get a couple of shots at this, so I have to be careful. I can always widen it. I'm going to start right about in the middle. And I'm going to cut the plastic by accident. I'm going to lightly trace the French curve. That's good enough for now. You can see the line I just cut. Now I'm going to flip the French curve over. I'm going to keep that round dot about the same distance that I had before. And I'm going to line that up. And I'm going to lightly it's all done by eye. I'm going to lightly score. It's hard to do with one eye. Forgive me if I'm quiet here. Okay, I've done better, but that's okay because once I start to work it, it'll get a little bit better. Now I'm just doing it freehand without the pattern. Without the French curve, I should say. Now this has to be done accurately, so I can't like slip. And if I do slip, I'm gonna swear. I'm just gonna let you know. Okay, that's not too bad. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other line. Same distance, about 3/4 of an inch. And I am not going to overcut this line. I can always sand to it. Matter of fact, I'm going to flatten this out a little bit here. This is a matter of deciding how you want to interpret your line. And I'm going a little bit deeper with each cut, going very slow. Okay, that's a start. Let me look with my mirror. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing now. My line looks pretty good. I'm going to deepen it slowly. Freehand. I've already got the groove there. And I'm not thinking about anything but this line. Okay, I'm going to go back and deepen the other one a little bit more. This is a Brazilian rosewood back, of course. Okay, not bad. So, the next step is with my very small chisel. Actually, I'm going to start with one a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to start with this one here. This is a 3/8 inch chisel, and I am going to very carefully start to chisel this. This is where my lack of right eyesight hampers me. Especially right here where the cut starts. Gotta be really careful right here. It's really easy to screw this up. Back to the knife, lightly. Back to the 3/8 chisel. Wiggling the chisel just a little bit to get it in there. Okay. I'm taking this very slow because it's very easy to chip the backwood right here. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to go to the 1/16 of an inch chisel I'm not going to go too deep here. We're going to be very patient in the beginning. Back to the knife. Okay. Back to the small chisel. Okay. Now you can see how I've just started this French. Okay, I don't need the French curve anymore. It's difficult with my eyesight. It's not like the old days where I could see this perfectly. I'm using my sense of touch here. Deepening the cut. Once we get some chiseled out, reestablishing the line gets easier. Now we're going to go back to the little chisel. It's definitely too narrow right now, but that's okay. I can widen it. I'm going to stop for a minute and get my other magnifiers. So if you'll just hang on a sec. So we're going to pull out these guys. It'll help me. And I, in fact, will take off my normal clips and put these on. I can see a lot better now. It's important to have the right chisel here. 1/8 of an inch chisel isn't going to work for you. It's too thick, too wide. Okay. Going back between magnifiers here with my eyeglasses. So I'm going lightly, clear some of that out of there. What I've found in the last few months is that I can do this work, but I have to go really slow. Not like the old days when I could see better. And go back to the 3/8 chisel here. And I don't like the way this is cutting. Or should I say not cutting. So I'm going to go to a 1/4 inch. This is much better. We're just going to whittle away at some of this. I'm working around a tripod leg. So you got to be careful here because you can really screw it up with one false move. You can see progress is being made here. I'm cutting this at a slight angle this way, and same with the other side. It's really all done by feel and how the blade is cutting. So little by little, this is taking shape. Now, I will widen it a little bit, but I always start off thinner. And then I spend time making it deeper this way. I don't want to go further than the actual heel cap this way, where the sides meet. I don't want to go beyond this point here on either side. So it's a process of continuing to deepen the cut. Never pushing too hard. Okay? That's where you'll lose your control. Let's come back in with the small chisel. And I will, at some point, I will flip the guitar around and work on this side, but everything would be on the other end of my workbench when I do that. So I'm going to try to stay here with the camera set up for as long as I feel it's safe. Let me see if I can fit this chisel in. Not quite yet. Okay. Now, of course, this is going to end up being 1/4 of an inch deep when I'm done. And I'm trying to do it without chipping any of this wood. I got to be careful I don't chip the end. If I do, I'll put a little super glue in there to hold it together. I'll go a little deeper and you'll get the idea here. Sometimes if the chisel won't move, I just wiggle it back and forth a little bit, like you just saw me do. I've got a little bit right here I want to get rid of. So it's a process of continuing to lower with the bigger chisel, like right here. Coming back with the knife. I have a little resistance here on this side here, and that's usually when I will flip the guitar around and cut from the other side. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to leave it here for a while so you get the idea. Now, right here it has to be transitioned, but I'll do that when I go around to the other side. I've got that pretty deep right there. In fact, I can take a 1/4 inch chisel and get rid of some of that like this from this side. I imagine when they did my brain surgery, they worked similar to this, very slow. They had to be careful not to damage my already damaged right optic nerve. So you can see it's progressing. This is where you have to be patient. You know, rosewood is pretty hard stuff. Okay? That's better. Now that I can get the whole chisel in there, it's getting a little bit wider. Going to take a piece of 120 paper. Happen to have some new stuff right here. Which one is it? It's this one. Okay, it's this side. And I can just about get, let me see where I put it. Here it is. Let's see if I can get this plastic card in here and back the sandpaper. This is 120. This side is 120, the other side's 150. And I want to see if I can put that in here. Yeah, I can. And just sort of widen it a little bit. Still hung up on this side. Let me get rid of some of this. And gotta put on the other glasses. Okay. So normally, if I weren't making a video, I would have already swung this guitar around to work this way on this side. But since I'm making a video and it's all set up, I'm going to stay here for a bit longer for the benefit of the viewing audience. Now, I've made it through the back because the purfling is disappearing on this cut. I'm going to do a quick vac. And I'm going to look in the back of the camera here for a minute. Okay. It's starting to take shape. I'm just going to go a little more and then I'll end this video. I will keep going until I get all the way down to the bottom here. And I can continue this line down here, straight into the heel. Okay, and same on the other side. So I'll continue to work here in the slot, but I'm also aware that I have to eventually widen this a little bit. And keep in mind that this is not the final heel cap shape. It may vary slightly in order to get these two sides perfectly the same from the middle line. Let me just go a little bit more here before I conclude this video. It's hard wood. Okay, let's go to the 1/4 inch. Get rid of some of this over here. I also come in from the end. I have a tripod leg in the way here, but I'll come in this way like I'm doing now. And if I can see it, let me take a look here. Just like that. And you can see little by little, this is starting to take shape. But I urge you, you don't want to rush this. Okay. Like I say, if you wiggle the chisel like this a little bit, it will cut through. Sometimes it'll cut easy, but if it's not, you can wiggle it, and that will help the chisel cut through. Now, you don't ever want to be impatient. Don't put your finger here when you're cutting. Do a little bit of sanding here with the card. The card is flexible and it'll take the curve nicely. See, that's starting to look pretty good. I'll do the same on the other side at the heel. Put it in this way. This is 120 grit. Purple paper, of course. Okay? Now, so far I have no chips, which is nice. I don't like chips. And I'm gonna just check this with the mirror here. So I'm down about 1/8 of an inch, and I got about another 1/8 of an inch to go. I am going to end the video, but you get the idea. Now right now it's too narrow, okay? But I will, little by little, with sanding and a little bit of chiseling, I will widen that opening for the binding. And most of it I'll take from this side. I'll check and see how the heel cap is looking, how it's lining up, etc. But you can already see that I'm getting closer. And eventually, this binding will go right into that slot, as will the other one, okay? But it's too narrow right now. I have to widen that. It's going to take some work. And the reason that I start narrower is if you make it too wide, then this is going to fit sloppy. I'd rather thin this down a tiny bit at the end to fit in there than to make the slot too big. This is the way Hauser does it. This is the way Manuel Velasquez does it. And this is the way I do it. Not always, but with my handicap sight right now, this is the way I'm doing it. Okay, I hope this helps some of you. And hopefully I haven't left much out here. I will shoot a video when it's all done, and I'll show you how everything will fit. Okay? So there you have it. Bob Desmond checking out. Thanks for watching.